Hey guys, so before I start getting into the topic of Eazy Flip, I do want to elaborate that I made an error when making this video. I accidentally was calling this technique slingshot when it should be referred to as an easy flip, okay, not a slingshot. The easy flip can be a slow version and a fast version using turbo, okay? But both are referred to as easy flip, not a slingshot. There was some confusion because there's other players that thought the same thing that I did, where I was told that this was a slingshot, but it's actually easy flip. I just want to emphasize and correct that before you see this next clip, okay? Apparently this technique was discovered in the older days by a player known as LookEazy, all right, which I was informed by the rocket racing community, so I'm throwing this clip in before I start showing the demonstration, okay? So the first part of the video is going to be the easy flip without and with turbo, and then there's going to be a second part in this where there's an alternative that I say an alternative to slingshot. That is actually a mirror flip with turbo, okay? So just so you know those two terminologies that is coming up in this upcoming clip right now. Alright guys, so for this next trick, this is a more advanced trick that a lot of people are not aware of, and this came about in Season 1 where a lot of people didn't know this thing existed except some of the top players for a while. But there's no tutorials really about this hidden mechanic, and I guess a lot of people kept it secret. Well, I'm going to tell you straight up what it is. It's a slingshot. So there's a mild version of slingshot, I guess you could say, and then there's a really fast version of a slingshot. The slow version really doesn't do much, but the fast version does. First, I'm going to show you another thing. So, I think this one flip that we did, the previous, was called Easy Flip, if I'm not mistaken. So that's just when you're drifting to the left or right, you go off the edge, you're facing left, and you can air dodge. I believe that is called Easy Flip, or maybe Easy Flip is going off the edge. I'm not 100% on that term, but I do know that when you go off the edge, the slingshot is done a little different. You're not going to let it slowly rotate. You're going to force it to rotate instantly. And the way to do that is, if I drift right and I go off of the ceiling, instead of letting it slowly rotate around, I air dodge left. So drifting right, air dodge left. Drifting left, air dodge right. Keep that in mind. So wherever you want to face, you gotta drift the opposite direction first. So then you end up in the way you want to go. So if I drift right, I'm going to end up left. So watch this. So I go off the edge, I drift right. When I go off the edge, air dodge left. See what happened? I just rotated. I don't know if that's also called easy flip, but that's more relating to a slingshot, because when you increase the speed, or if you're going really fast, like hitting boost pads, turbo, releasing a drift, and so on and so forth, and you do that slingshot, it's going to thrust you so far, so fast, that you can coast in the air, and you'll be at a really high speed for a good while coasting in the air. So, as such, I'm going to demonstrate that right now at a faster speed, okay? So, turbo, like that, kind of like that. See? So it really thrusts you. I'm going to give you another demo of that really quick, because I'm trying to find some pads that I can use. Turbo like this, drift left. See that? See how much speed it's given me? It just thrusts you forward. The thing with this mechanic is, I think what it does is, because you're forcing it to flip so fast that it's like a bug where it just forces to thrust you. It just basically gives you a mass burst of thrust. I don't know why it's that way and why it's designed, but that's basically what it does. As you can see, it really thrusted me forward, because it's a lot faster than just going off of the edge and just turboing straight. So that is one way how people really amplify their speed. I'm going to do it one more time right here, because I got another extra set of boosters. So let's see if I can nail this, okay? So like this, like this. So air dodge up, like this. See this? Look how far I'm coasting. See this? Gives you a ton of speed. And the more boosters you stack, and the bigger your drift when you do it, like this, see? Going really fast. It really just coasts you along. Alright? One thing to take note that I do want to mention. Under normal circumstances, when you get a massive burst of speed, like I just did, like a slingshot, or let's say you do this. I'm going to give you another example. This is another way how people kind of maximize their turbo, alright? So I'm going to try and build up a big drift, and I'm going to turbo, release it, and then jump side flip and so on. Okay, I'm going to try and do that. So let me try this. Hold on, let's see. So I'm going to do this. So drift left, jump side flip. See how far I'm coasting and how fast I'm going? So here's the thing. Under most circumstances, when you are going at a high speed, in the air, you don't want to land right away, okay? You want to coast in the air because there is something with when you're in the air that when you're at a high rate of speed while you're floating, or like a massive burst of speed when you're floating, your car doesn't register a slowdown as fast coasting in the air versus if you land right away. Because if you're at 570 kph and you're still coasting fast and you drop to the ground, the game is immediately going to reset you and slow your speed down. So you do got to keep in mind that if you get a massive burst of speed, it's a good idea to maybe stay in the air maybe another 2 seconds, depending how fast your speed is. You just kind of got to gauge it with practice and experience, but you can coast a long distance in the air if you do a massive thrust of speed where you release your drift, boost pads, slingshot, and you float in the air. You're going to coast a long distance because it can actually be faster coasting a longer distance instead of touching the ground to build up the next drift. Because even though the trade-off is when you're floating in the air a long distance, when you land, or before you land, it means you are going to land at 570 when you slow down and have to rebuild your speed. But as far as I've known, you gain more for floating in the air like that with a slingshot, being in the air a little longer than just jumping to the ground right away, okay? Even to build up a next drift. Because it has a delay when it slows your speed down under those circumstances. I just want to throw that out there because that's a kind of like another way how people really do their speed. Now, another alternative to the slingshot, what you can do is you can just do the Eazy Flip way, where you just let your car rotate and then just side flip after. That's also another alternative because which one is better really depends on circumstance. Because there's a certain map where I don't use the slingshot when I could, but I prefer using just the let it rotate my car around. I think it's Alpine. I let it rotate my car around, and then I just air dodge and side flip. So then I turbo and I land right on some boosters. That's just kind of an example. So I'm just gonna try and see if I can do it here. See if I can do this. Like this. See, like that? You can kind of do the same thing. It's almost as good as a slingshot. I can't exactly say which one is better, but I do think overall the speed is better just by a little bit doing the slingshot method instead of doing it this way. But this way is a good alternative. But just keep in mind that you could probably be hitting the ground before your car finishes rotating, in which you'll have to do your nose up button, where you'll be floating in that air and just have to be doing your nose up, so you're floating in there in the moment while you're rotating. So just kind of keep that in mind. But I just want to kind of throw that out there as an extra. It's kind of an alternative to the slingshot, but it's just like I said when I was saying during turbo, you want to stack turbos with a big drift and boost pads if you can, or one or the other at the least. So I just want to reiterate really quick about something. When I'm mentioning alternative to slingshot, I'm actually referring to alternative to Eazy Flip. So the alternative to Eazy Flip is labeled as mirror flip, but with turbo, okay? So turbo, mirror flip, whatever you want to call that. That is the alternative to Eazy Flip that I've been making the mistake of calling a slingshot, all right? I just want to mention that, and it has also been noted to me that the mirror flip method with turbo is actually a little bit faster than doing the Eazy Flip method with turbo, okay? However, it should be noted that it is, under specific circumstances, it is more ideal to do an Eazy Flip on specific spots on maps than it is to do the mirror flip method with turbo, okay? Just want to mention that, and that should do it for this video.